idea I can give to our sisters and brothers out there that they have to speak out. Don't allow anyone to mistreat you, and in silence, speak out. Come out. If someone is not paying you, please speak out. If someone is not giving you your salary, come out and speak. If someone, when you fall sick, someone is not taking you to the hospital, speak out. Don't do something you didn't sign by contract. Because these people, when they go there, they start washing cars, they start rearing donkeys, they start farming, they do everything. Don't do something which you didn't sign by contract. You have to speak out. I tell you, this is the fact. You have seen so many people taking videos when they are rearing goats. And when you ask them, did you sign this from your contract? She will say no. You have seen people making videos, dancing on TikTok. This is not part of the contract. You get my point? So these sisters, they have to do something they signed by the contract. They have to do things they signed by the contract. Don't allow someone to mistreat you. Don't allow someone to give you extra work you didn't sign for. You should do exactly what you signed by the contract.
Hi guys, so today I'm here with Mr. Update. He's from Uganda, and today we are going to talk about Kadamas. Today we are going to talk about Africans in Gulf countries, and basically we're gonna talk about Saudi Arabia. So guys, allow me to let Mr. Update to introduce himself to us. Welcome, Mr. Update.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be here on the Ivan TV. My name is Mr. Update, but these are the names I'm using on social media, most especially on TikTok. But my real names, I'm called Sulaiman Sekamate. It's my pleasure to be here tonight.
Okay, Mr. Update, you didn't tell us where are you from and where you are now.
I am from Uganda, and right now I am in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates.
Okay, so guys, today we will be sharing something with you guys together with Mr. Update. He is from Uganda, but currently in UAE. So we are going to start without further ado, and make sure you follow Mr. Update on his social handles. Okay, so Mr. Update, we have so many Gulf countries. Which country do you think our Africans are suffering a lot?
According to the research and according to the information I have right now, most of the Africans, they are suffering more in Saudi Arabia, mostly in the Gulf countries, mostly in Arab countries, but particularly in Saudi Arabia.
And if I may ask, why do you think Africans are being mistreated here in Saudi Arabia? What are
I think one of the causes of mistreatment, I will put it back to our governments in our respective countries. They have not done enough. They have not done what they are supposed to do to save our brothers, to save our sisters who are working in outside countries. I think there are less policies. The government needs to put in more efforts. The government needs to put in more effort to see that our sisters and our brothers are saved. Because recently, we have so many challenges, mostly on maids in Saudi Arabia, whereby a number of them have been coming out complaining mistreatment, not being paid their salaries. When they are sick, they are not being taken to hospitals. And I think it's our governments of our respective countries which have to come out and say that no, let's do something to stop the mistreatment of our sisters and brothers in their respective countries.
Mr. Update, you've talked about our Kenyan, our African government. So you think these agencies which are taking our sisters to Gulf countries, so they it's like they are right with what they are doing because you are not including them.
Of course, this is under the government because it is the government to put regulation on these companies because it is the government that gives these companies license to take our brothers and our sisters in these countries, for example in Saudi Arabia, in UAE, even in other Gulf countries. If the government have not put their strategies, if the government has not put their rules to follow by these companies before they take our brothers and sisters in these respective countries, then we should be having more challenges like this. One of the challenges sisters face is that even when they complain to the companies that take them to these countries, these companies, they will not care. These companies, they will not listen anything. It is the government to say that no, we need to put there some rules and regulations. We should put there some memorandum of understanding with the countries where these people are working. And it should be done by the government through these companies. But it's like each and every company is doing things at its own, whereby you can, I have got so many complaints from our sisters, mostly in Saudi Arabia, that even when they call their companies which brought them to Saudi Arabia, these companies, they will not care until they have to expose these companies on social media. That's when this company will come out. But I think it should be the work of the governments. It should be the work of the government of Uganda. It should be the work of the government of Kenya. It should be the work of the government of Ethiopia. It should be the work of the government of any other African country to see that these people get justice in countries where they are going.
Okay, Mr. Update, if I may ask you, do you think our African government, they are aware of what is happening to our girls in Saudi Arabia? Do you think they normally see what happens in social media, or maybe they are not aware?
Of course, they are aware of what is happening. They are aware of what is happening. But they have not done what they are supposed to do. For example, recently, there was one lady from Uganda, she's called Halima. She ran away from her boss's house, and all what the government did was to bring out the Minister of Foreign Affairs, is Okello Oryem from Uganda. He said that the government of Uganda, it has no resources, it has no money to look for each and every Ugandan in outside countries. And he said it is the company to take a responsibility of the people they take abroad. That means that Ugandans who are in abroad are on their own. This was the Minister of Foreign Affairs. That means these people know what is happening, but they are not taking action.
Okay, and following the case of Halima, I heard rumors that she was forced to go back to that house and again to apologize to that boss. But I asked myself, Why should she apologize? Yet we have videos of how that Saudi Arabia boss man was using Halima to make money on TikTok. Who is supposed to apologize between the two? And why did Halima had to run away if the boss was not mistreating her? You see, I cried a lot after hearing what was happening.
Okay, thank you. Of course, I have also heard about that. That is the company, and it is called the Shukrani company. It was forcing Halima to go back to the house and apologize to her boss for running away from the house where she was being mistreated. And for me, I think that was wrong. Because one, Halima had come to work, not to start making videos on TikTok. TikTok, that was another thing. It should be an understanding between her and the boss, but it should not be part of the work which she had come to do in Saudi Arabia. So I think it was very wrong for the company to force Halima to go and apologize to the boss for just running away for her life. And on that story also, it was confirmed that this Halima was being beaten. Seriously, she was being beaten. That's why even when you see her previous videos, when she was on TikTok, she was like she's scared. But she had no any other option but to do what these people were telling her to do. But she was not she was not doing it by her favor, but she was being forced.
And if I may ask, right now, where is Halima? What is making Halima, we as Africa, we can contribute for her ticket to go back to Uganda, because I think Halima's life is in danger. But we want to see Halima back in Uganda. Why is it that it is impossible for her to go back? If it is about ticket, we are ready to cater for the ticket, Why? What is making hard for her to go back to Uganda?
Now this goes back to the government, because now it's going back to the government. One, Halima, it is a friend who saw Halima running away on the streets, and she picked her, she took her to her house. After coordination from one of our fellow Ugandans out there in Uganda, good-hearted Ugandans, she was advised to take this Halima to the embassy. And we think when someone goes to the embassy, I think this should be the safest place. Because if you go to your embassy, we expect you to be safe. But as per now, Halima is not safe. Why? It's the embassy that is forcing now Halima to go and apologize to her bosses. It's now the company that bought Halima, which is Shukran. It is telling Halima that no, she should now get another house. She should not go back to Uganda. Why? These companies now are afraid that Halima is going to expose them. She's going to say what she was going through within the house and outside the house. So that's why they are fighting so hard that Halima is not going back to Uganda. That's why they are putting all this drama that she has to first apologize to her bosses, which is not right.
What? And that is very tricky, that is very dangerous, because even if, these agencies, they have so many powers. They can even give out some bribes to this embassy, Ugandan embassy, for them to do Halima something which is not good. They can even, you have seen how many cases we have. You have seen how our African girls, they are dying like chickens, like dogs here in Saudi Arabia. You have been seeing how they have been these people, they are removing kidneys, uterus. I don't know whether you saw that girl. I don't know the name of that girl. Her uterus was removed. Her kidney was removed. She was told by her Saudi Arabia madam to escort her to the hospital, but she ended up she just got herself in the hospital, no kidney, no uterus. I don't know whether you've seen that case.
Yeah, yes, I have seen that, and I have been following it as well. And surprisingly, it is the same company, Shukran, that also brought this lady to Saudi Arabia. But they are just trying to make things like everything is normal. This lady, she was told by her boss to be escorted to the hospital. But when she reached the hospital, instead she became the patient. From her family, from Uganda, this company had approached this company, Shukran still, to see that they can save this girl. But the company did not do anything. So I think this goes back to the government, that if the government doesn't put their rules that govern these companies, we are having more chances of suffering like this. And this is not the first case also. Previously, we have had so many cases of ladies who are their kidneys which were being removed, but still there is nothing done. So I think the problem is starting directly from our respective countries. If the governments have done something, for example, recently you saw what happened to one maid in Philippines. Their government came out and something was done. But if when our government are not willing to come out to save our brothers and sisters, and yet they are still bringing in more and more people in outside countries, then we are likely to have so many issues of this kind.
And you see, like we have so many. I've seen so many Ugandan cases. Like I don't know whether you remember the story of Judith. Judith. I don't know that name. The second name. That lady. Was it 2019 or 2021? Her kidney was removed in Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, and she paralyzed. And that she was paid a lot of money. I can't remember how much was that. And you see, another case has happened. You see, now we have this pending case of Halima, and nothing is being done. You have said they come from the same agency, and that agency is still working. And government, they are not concerned. They don't want even is happening. You see, in Saudi Arabia, we have Ugandan embassy. We have Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have those sectors, but they are doing nothing. How are we going to survive? Surely, what are they doing? Like Ugandan embassy in Saudi Arabia, what are their work? Are they Arabs, Saudi Arabs, or what are they up to? We are the one who are paying them. If it was not us coming to Saudi Arabia, they couldn't get even the money. I wonder what is happening. Not even in Uganda, even in Kenya, we are suffering a lot.
Definitely.
Embassy in Saudi Arabia, they are just sleeping. I don't know whether you can talk about our embassies here.
Well, before I can talk about the embassy, I will take you back to the issue of that Judy we are talking about. If I am not mistaken, this Judy was compensated for removing her kidney. I remember it was 400 million Uganda shillings. But the company that took this lady Instead, they pronounced 20 million, 20 million Uganda shillings. And until the family came out, because the family had got already information from the boss where this lady was working, and they know the amount of money that was given to this lady as a compensation for removing her kidney. But the company did not even get ashamed. They had to take all of this money, and they were giving this 20 Ugandan shillings, this million 20 Ugandan shillings, like they were just helping the girl. But they never said that this money was just given her as a compensation for removing her kidney. Recently, all of the convicts in this case, they come from the company that took this lady to Saudi Arabia, they were brought to court, and they were all given a bail. And the court said there is no proper evidence that shows that these people from this company had involved directly from this case. So they were all given bail. That means there is still more to be done, not only from the embassies but also from our countries. The government has to put their restrictions to see that these companies have to operate by law, but not that everybody has to do each and everything that they want to do. Concerning to the issue of Judy, her kidney was removed. Previously, all the convicts, all the people who had involved, all the owners of the company were brought to court. But surprisingly, the court gave them bail, and he stated that, the judge stated that these people, there is no proper evidence that shows they were directly involved in this case. So now they are all out of the jail.
We are coming to an end of this interview, and can you hear me?
Yes, of course I can hear you. Our respective governments have not put there enough resources in these embassies, whereby even when you go to the embassy, for example, your passport has expired, you have to pay a lot of money. You have to pay a lot of money to get this passport. You have to pay actually twice the money you are supposed to pay. So that means that even the government have not put there enough money, enough resources to help people at the embassy. So I think now it also goes back to the government of our respective countries. They have to put enough resources in these embassies.
Okay, apart from resources in our African embassy, what other, what do you think our Kenyan girls, maybe they can do, maybe to save their lives, as in which agencies they can use? Like I heard there was which was given of labor. You can call police. Apart from that, and do you think those numbers are working? Do you think when our girls call that number, are they going,
Of course, what I can say, these numbers are not working. These numbers are not working. They just put these numbers as a way out, that when such things happens, they have an excuse that will put there as those numbers. But even when you call them, you will not get any help, I'm telling you. Because we have had so many cases, we have had so many people complaining about the embassy, that just look at the recent case of this Halima. She went to the embassy, but even up as per now we are talking, she's still at the embassy. If the embassy was working, now Halima, because this issue of Halima had went viral, almost everyone across the world was talking about this Halima. But the company, they are just now fighting to see that this lady doesn't go back to Uganda, because she's going to expose them. And if the embassies were working now, by now Halima would be in the country. But now she's still in Saudi Arabia. I think it still goes back to the government. The governments have to do something. Because even if they put these numbers, yes, you are going to call these numbers, but you will not get any assistance, you will not get any help.
Okay, again, do you think our African agencies, some of them, they are doing human trafficking, or else some of them, they just like when you travel, they just forget about you. Once you call them to explain maybe about you have a certain problem, they can even block you, or they will even blue tick you, they will ignore you. Do you think that is happening to all agencies or majority?
I think most of these agencies, they are dealing directly with these local people or Arabic people. They are not after the people they took to these countries, because I think they are just after money. They are just after money. If you give them money, they can do anything they want to do. Because there are so many cases we are having. We have so many cases. Because even when these people, these maids, they go back to their respective offices, they will be forced. They will have to go back to the houses without first solving the reasons why they ran away from these houses. And this is very common. And besides that, we know very well that when these sisters are moving from their respective countries to the places where they are going to work, these people we are calling sponsors, they pay a lot of money. They pay a lot of money. They give this money to these agents. So if you take someone, if a maid goes from Kenya to Saudi Arabia, and when she reaches there, she said the way of living is not good. That means this lady, she will not work there. And when she refuses to work, and yet this so-called sponsor had put in so much money to bring her to Saudi Arabia. That's why we are having so many issues, that this lady was killed, this lady was beaten, just because these sponsors put in so much money to bring this lady to where they are going to work.
Okay, and again, if I may ask, what do you think we can do, at least our voices can be heard by our African leaders, by our African government? Which voices can we raise so that they can hear? Because I heard there was another conversation that I don't know whether it was happening in Uganda and Gulf Kadamas, and then Museveni heard about it, and then she come and say, oh, those Ugandan guys in Uganda, we are that guy. He talked a lot of. I don't want to mention your president.
Yes, I also heard about that. Okay, I think we shall not run away from the fact that we don't have jobs in our respective countries. There is no way these governments will stop these people from going abroad. If they cannot put there enough jobs for us to work, you cannot tell people that you should not go to these countries, and yet you are issuing more license to these companies that take people abroad. I think what this government needs to do is to stop immediately, to ban all companies from taking these people from these countries, because they are being mistreated. Until there is a memorandum of understanding between Uganda and Saudi Arabia, between Kenya and Saudi Arabia, between Ethiopia and Saudi Arabia, let there be a memorandum of understanding. Because there is no way you can tell me that a lady or someone can work for 1 year or 2 years without a single day off. Someone who is going to be sick and not being taken to the hospital, because these people, they don't allow them to go to the hospital even when they are sick. They only give them Panadol, and this is evident. So many locals have been coming out and speaking out. It's like these people are not falling sick. When you are sick, they just give you, take this Panadol. You get my point? So I think it still goes to the government. If possible,
Yeah.
they have to limit, they have to put their restriction, they have to stop even banning these people from going to this country, because they are being mistreated, until they put their good policies that can favor them where they are working. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Update, like we have in Kenya, we have a certain paper, we have contract letter, and that contract letter, it is written like you are to be taken to the hospital, you are supposed to be done blah 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 blah, so many things. But that contract letter, these are able, they don't follow it. Like it is written in contract letter, we are supposed to work 8 hours, but we work 24 hours. Do you something like that in Uganda? A paper you are given when traveling to show the agreement between the two countries.
Yes, of course. Before anyone moves to any other country, if you are going to work, if you pass through a company, it means you have to sign this contract. And this contract, some of these contracts are written in Arabic. And when I was interacting with some of our sisters who are working in Saudi Arabia mostly, these contracts are not being followed. For example, they are saying you have to work 8 hours a day. You must have at least 2 days off. But these people are working almost 24 hours. They are not getting any off. They are not being taken to the hospital when they are being sick. And yet these contracts are stating everything there. But these things are not followed. Until our governments speak out that no, let us follow these agreements we are putting in place. Until the government come out and say no, we should follow these agreements. Let everybody have a day off. Let everybody who is working be paid. Let when someone falls sick, let her or him go be taken to the hospital. Then I think if the government put in more effort, then there will be change. But if things are going the way they are going, because these companies are also after money, and don't forget that most of these companies, they are owned by the government officials from our respective countries. That's why even when the peoples are crying, that you should stop these people from going abroad, nobody is listening. Why? Because the company are theirs. They are the people who are getting this money from taking these people abroad. That's why they are all quiet, because the companies are theirs. That's why you are seeing these companies fighting so hard not to take this Halima back to the country, because they know she's going to expose them. That's the only reason. That even when we are fighting, these companies are just quiet. And recently, the Uganda government had stated that it will not renew its contract with Saudi Arabia until there are proper policies. But these companies came out publicly and said, no, you cannot do such a statement, you cannot take such an action without consulting the company. That's when the government come out and say some things that will affect these companies. That's the only time this company will come out. But this company will not come out when these people are crying. These companies will not come out when these people are complaining about the companies. When someone is sick, these companies will not come out. Only when you touch their roots, that's when they will come out. I think the government need to ban this country. We need to re-register, to deregister this company and register them again if we have to do something.
Wow, Mr. Update. You make a lot of sense. By the way, in Kenya, most of these agencies, they are being owned by these politicians. You can't imagine someone bringing out a very serious case, like we had our girl being removed eyes and kidney, and that girl went viral, but nothing was done to that lady, and she was killed, she was hanged. That is what postmortem said, but nothing. We have been seeing in social media, but nothing has been done. That is the main reason why our Kenyans are suffering. Our government, our agencies, they are just after the money. You know, they are benefiting from us by coming here and working here. Imagine the amount of money we are paid here. We are the one who are working, but agencies, they receive a lot of money more than us, and we are the one we are tired. We came here to know of no every time Panado, every time shouting. I don't know. You know, you can't understand you. But for me, ask me these things, Mr. Update. That is exactly what is happening. African government, they can fight for us. The way Philippines, they are fighting for their Philippines, Kadamas. I don't know. We have rotten government in Africa, sure.
Yeah, definitely. These agencies are getting more money than even people who are going to work there. Just because they are paid more money, because most is, the fact is, even when before even they made the moves from Kenya to Saudi Arabia, the sponsor had to pay for the passport, she has to pay for the ticket, and when they reach the Saudi Arabia, they have to buy them as if they are buying raw materials. That's why when you go to someone's house, you are like a property, because they are buying them. And these companies have put so many other offices in Saudi Arabia, where when they bring these people to Saudi Arabia or to any other country, they collect them in one room. So if someone wants, for example, a housemaid, she will come and pick from these people, and they will start negotiating how much are you giving us, and this is the fact. That means these people are taking these people from to work in their houses as their product. It's like you will go to the market and buy something and you take it to your house. So that's why they are not caring about the human rights. They are just treating them like they are not a human being. That's the fact.
Okay, Mr. Update, I think we've talked a lot, and maybe we can come another day and we talk 1, 2, 3. I just want you to finalize this interview. Yeah, just say something before we end the interview.
All right. Uh, the idea I can give to our sisters and brothers out there, that they have to speak out. Don't allow anyone to mistreat you, and in silence, speak out. Come out. If someone is not paying you, please speak out. If someone is not giving you your salary, come out and speak. If someone, when you fall sick, someone is not taking you to the hospital, speak out. Don't do something you didn't sign by contract. Because these people, when they go there, they start washing cars, they start rearing donkeys, they start farming, they do everything. Don't do something which you didn't sign by contract. You have to speak out. I tell you, this is the fact. You have seen so many people taking videos when they are rearing goats. And when you ask them, did you sign this from your contract? She will say no. You have seen people making videos dancing on TikTok. This is not part of the contract. You get my point? So these sisters, they have to do some things they signed by the contract. They have to do things they signed by the contract. Don't allow someone to mistreat you. Don't allow someone to give you extra work you didn't sign for. You should do exactly what you signed by the contract. Thank you. You know very well. You know very well these people are not being taken to the hospital. And this is evident. So many videos have come out that when I am sick, they give Panadol, only Panadol. These people only know Panadol. They don't know that when someone is sick, they are supposed to be taken to the hospital. Instead, they are just giving Panadol. If you have a headache, they will give you Panadol. If you have diarrhea, they give you Panadol. If you have fever, they will give you Panadol. It's like a Panadol can treat everything. So we need out. And who will change this? It is our respective government. If the government cannot speak out, if the government cannot regulate these companies, we are still suffering in these respective countries. I'm so happy to be here on the Ivona TV. Thank you for hosting me.
We have come to thank you so much, guys. You can follow. What are your social handles like in YouTube, TikTok, Facebook? Maybe someone can want to talk to you.
Yes, yeah. On YouTube, this is I'm using Sulaiman Mr. Update. On TikTok, I'm using Sekamate Sulaiman or Mr. Update. When you put Mr. Update, you will find me there. On Facebook, I'm using Sekamate Sulaiman. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I pray that we can come and discuss this kind of issues here any other time you are free. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, I'm really humbled. So guys, I will link Mr. Update. I will link his YouTube link at the comment section and also at the community tab. So go and show him some love. He is our neighbor. Is a Ugandan, currently in Gulf countries, UAE. You can follow his TikTok account. So bye, Mr. Update. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.